Welcome to the House of Wisdom. Here, you can enjoy the essence of great books and learn valuable lessons without spending hours reading. Whether you're driving, training, or multitasking, the House of Wisdom brings engaging audiobook summaries right to you. Sit back, relax, and let us share the wisdom of books in a way that fits perfectly into your busy lifestyle. Today, we are going to explore the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, a powerful guide on how small changes can lead to remarkable results. Atomic Habits by James Clear revolutionizes our understanding of habits and personal growth. The book provides actionable strategies to develop good habits, break bad ones, and harness small, consistent behaviors to achieve significant results. Whether you want to enhance your health, work, or overall life satisfaction, Clear's principles guide you toward transformation. The book emphasizes the power of tiny, incremental changes. Improving by just 1% daily can lead to extraordinary outcomes over time. Clear reveals that success isn't solely about willpower or motivation. It's about building systems that make good habits automatic and bad habits difficult. This practical approach is ideal for anyone seeking lasting change or curious about how successful individuals cultivate their habits. Let's uncover how small habits can lead to big changes. The surprising power of atomic habits. In 2003, a turning point occurred for British cycling. For over a century, British riders had achieved minimal success, with just one Olympic gold medal since 1908 and no victories in the prestigious Tour de France. This changed when Dave Brailsford was appointed as the coach of the British cycling team. Brailsford introduced a revolutionary strategy called the aggregation of marginal gains, focusing on small, incremental improvements in every aspect of performance. His approach included innovations such as redesigning bike seats for greater comfort, using electrically heated shorts to maintain optimal muscle temperature, and rubbing alcohol on tires for better grip. These seemingly minor tweaks culminated in a stellar performance at the 2008 Beijing Olympic Games, where the British team dominated cycling events. This transformation illustrates the profound impact of small changes, even as subtle as a 1% improvement. While the effects of such habits may not be immediately noticeable, they compound over time, yielding remarkable results. To understand the mathematics behind this, if you improve by just 1% daily, you will be 37 times better by the end of a year. Habits, much like compound interest, may not produce visible changes instantly but create a significant impact over months or years. Conversely, negative habits work in the same way. Small, unhealthy choices accumulate into detrimental outcomes over time. Ultimately, success isn't defined by immediate results but by the trajectory set by your habits. Whether positive or negative, your habits shape the direction of your life. How your habits shape your identity, and vice versa. Breaking bad habits and adopting good ones can be challenging because we often focus on the wrong aspects of change. Many people set goals based on outcomes, what they want to achieve, leading to outcome-based habits. However, true transformation happens when you focus on identity-based habits, which revolve around what you want to become. Take for instance two people trying to quit smoking. The first says, "I'm trying to quit smoking," suggesting that they still identify as a smoker. The second says, "I don't smoke," which reflects a shift in identity. This subtle distinction makes a significant difference because our actions align with the beliefs we hold about ourselves. The key is to decide the kind of person you want to be and then reinforce that identity with small, consistent habits. Each positive habit becomes evidence of the person you aspire to be. The stronger your identity aligns with your goals, the easier it is to build and sustain new habits. How to build better habits. In 1898, psychologist Edward Thorndike conducted a groundbreaking experiment that revealed how habits shape our behavior. Fascinated by animal behavior, Thorndike began his study with cats. He placed each one in a puzzle box, where the only way out was by pressing a lever or pulling a cord. Initially, the cats would struggle, sniffing around or pawing at the walls. However, after several attempts, they quickly learned that pressing the lever would open the door and set them free. Thorndike found that with each trial, the cats made fewer mistakes and acted more purposefully. Over time, they developed a habit of immediately pressing the lever when placed in the box. Thorndike's conclusion was simple. Behaviors that lead to satisfying results are more likely to be repeated, while those that produce unfavorable outcomes tend to fade away. This experiment laid the foundation for understanding how habits form, and it can be broken down into 4 simple steps: cue, craving, response, and reward. 1. The cue. The cue is the trigger that prompts your brain to start a behavior. It's like a signal that sparks the routine, often linked to a hint of the reward that's to come. Since the cue is the first sign of a potential payoff, it often leads to cravings. 2. The craving. Cravings are the driving force behind every habit. Without a craving for change, there's no motivation to act. For example, you don't crave smoking a cigarette itself, you crave the relief it provides. Cravings are powerful because they link the habit to a desired outcome. 3. The response. The response is the actual habit, whether it's a thought or an action. The likelihood of this response happening depends on how motivated you are and how much effort is required. If a behavior is too difficult or demands too much energy, it's less likely to become a habit. 4. The reward. The reward is the ultimate goal of any habit. It satisfies the craving and teaches your brain which actions are worth repeating. The cue triggers the craving drives the response, and the response leads to the reward. When all 4 steps are in place, the habit loop is complete. If any of these steps are lacking or insufficient, the behavior won't form into a lasting habit. Understanding this cycle is crucial for developing good habits and breaking bad ones. By harnessing this simple habit loop, we can build better habits that stick. The first law is make it obvious. The man who didn't look right. I once heard a story about a woman who had worked as a paramedic for many years. During a family gathering, she noticed something unusual about her father-in-law. She couldn't pinpoint exactly what was wrong but insisted that he go to the hospital immediately. A few hours later, doctors discovered a major artery blockage that could have caused a fatal heart attack at any moment. Thanks to her quick observation, his life was saved. This story highlights how the human brain works like a prediction machine. It constantly monitors tiny details and learns to recognize patterns based on past experiences. For example, an experienced paramedic can detect a potential heart attack simply by observing a person's face. Their brain has been trained to notice subtle cues that indicate a problem. The same principle applies to habits. As you focus on specific patterns or behaviors, your brain starts to notice recurring cues and outcomes, often without conscious effort. Over time, these cues become so deeply ingrained in your habits that you may not even realize they exist. However, before you can build new habits, it's crucial to understand your current ones. This can be difficult because most habits operate on autopilot, shaped by years of repetition. The first step in changing behavior is to become aware of what you actually do. To do this, create a list of your daily habits. Once your list is complete, examine each behavior and classify it as good, bad, or neutral. Don't try to change anything at this stage, just observe. Avoid blaming yourself for negative habits or overpraising yourself for positive ones. Behavioral change always begins with awareness. By recognizing your habits, you set the foundation for intentional improvement. The best way to start a new habit. In 2001, researchers in Great Britain conducted a study with 248 participants to explore ways to build better exercise habits over 2 weeks. Group 1, Control Group. Participants only tracked how often they exercised. Group 2, Motivation Group. In addition to tracking their exercise, participants were given materials on the benefits of working out, such as reducing the risk of heart disease and improving overall heart health. Group 3, Planning Group. This group received the same motivational materials as Group 2 but with an additional task: They had to create a detailed plan specifying when and where they would exercise. Each participant wrote, "During the next week, I will engage in at least 20 minutes of vigorous exercise on this day at this time in this place." The results were striking. 1. In groups 1 and 2, only 35 to 38% of participants exercised at least once a week. 2. In group 3, however, a remarkable 91% of participants followed through on their exercise plans. This success stemmed from what researchers call implementation intentions, a detailed, advanced plan that specifies when and where to act. Numerous studies confirm that creating implementation intentions dramatically increases the likelihood of achieving your goals. The key lesson is that many people don't lack motivation, they lack clarity. Without a clear plan, it's easy to overlook the when and where of taking action. The first law of behavior change is to make it obvious. By being specific and clear about your intentions, you set practical cues for your habits and make it easier to act. The takeaway? Writing down a detailed plan transforms vague intentions into concrete actions, significantly increasing the likelihood that you'll stick to a new habit. Simply put, if you want to build better habits, start by being specific about what, when, and where you'll act. Motivation is overrated. Environment often matters more. At Massachusetts General Hospital in Boston, a primary care physician named Anne Thorndike had an innovative idea. She believed she could improve the eating habits of hospital staff and visitors without relying on motivation or making announcements. Along with her colleagues, she conducted a 6-month study to change the choice architecture of the hospital cafeteria. The first step was to reorganize the drink refrigerators. The refrigerators near the cash registers, which were stocked only with soda, were replaced with water bottles. Water was also made available at various food stations throughout the cafeteria, while soda remained in the main refrigerator. This small change made a significant impact. Over the next 3 months, soda sales dropped by 11.4%, while bottled water sales rose by 25.8%. Similar changes were made to food arrangements, yielding consistent results. Remarkably, no one noticed the adjustments, but the effects were profound. This experiment illustrates a key insight. People often don't choose what to eat based on desire, but rather based on where it's placed. For example, if you walk into your kitchen and find a plate of cookies, you might start eating them not because you're hungry, but simply because they're right in front of you. Your habits can change in the same way, based on the cues and environment around you. Environment plays a hidden yet powerful role in shaping human behavior. Regardless of our personalities, certain behaviors are automatically triggered by our surroundings. Unfortunately, the environments we live and work in often lack clear cues that encourage positive actions. To cultivate new habits, it's crucial to design your environment in a way that promotes them. For instance, if you want to drink more water, place water bottles around your living space. If you want to read more, leave books in places where you spend a lot of time. By making small adjustments to your environment, you can create a setting that naturally encourages good behaviors, reducing the reliance on motivation alone. The secret to self-control. In 1971, during the 16th year of the Vietnam War, Congressman Robert Steele from Connecticut and Morgan Murphy from Illinois made a shocking discovery that stunned the American public. During a visit to the troops, they learned that nearly 15% of U.S. soldiers sent to Vietnam were addicted to drugs. Follow-up research revealed that 35% of the service members had tried heroin, and 20% were addicted. This led to the establishment of a special office for drug abuse prevention to help these soldiers upon their return to the U.S. Lee Robbins, a research director, demonstrated that if a person's environment changes drastically, their addictions can quickly disappear. The soldiers in Vietnam were constantly surrounded by cues that triggered heroin use. The drug was easily accessible, the stress of war, peer pressure from fellow users, and the anxiety of being far from home. However, when these soldiers returned to the U.S., they were in an environment devoid of these cues, and their habits naturally shifted. This discovery challenges the common belief that overcoming bad habits relies solely on discipline. Research has shown that people with strong self-control are not fundamentally different from those who struggle with it. Instead, disciplined individuals excel because they avoid tempting situations. In fact, people with the most self-control use it the least. The key to success is not to rely on constant self-control but to optimize your environment. By making cues for good habits obvious and cues for bad habits invisible, you can encourage positive behaviors without relying on willpower alone. For example, if you want to drink more water, place water bottles around your living space. If you want to read more, leave books where you spend a lot of time. By adjusting your environment, you can naturally foster good habits without constantly needing motivation or self-control. The second law. Make it attractive. How to make a habit irresistible. In Dublin, Ireland, an electrical engineering student named Ronan Byrne loved watching Netflix but knew he needed to exercise. So, he came up with a creative solution. He connected his stationary bike to his laptop and TV, then created a computer program that made Netflix only work if he pedaled at a certain speed. This technique, known as temptation bundling, made exercising more enjoyable for him. How does this work? It's simple. Connect the action you need to do with the action you want to do. This method is based on a psychological theory called the Premack principle, which states that you are more likely to perform a less desirable activity if it's linked to a more desirable one. To make habits attractive, pair them with something you enjoy. For instance, if you love listening to audiobooks but need to work out, only listen to your favorite audiobook while exercising. This makes the less desirable activity, working out, more appealing because it's paired with something you enjoy. The technique works because it combines immediate gratification, watching Netflix or listening to an audiobook, with long-term benefits, physical exercise, making the habit more irresistible. By making the necessary actions attractive, you're more likely to stick with them, creating a sustainable habit that doesn't feel like a chore. The role of family and friends in shaping your habits. We don't choose our first habits, we imitate them. We follow the examples set by our family, friends, school, and society at large. Every culture and group has its own set of standards that influence our habits, and often, we unknowingly pick up the habits of those around us. We imitate our parents when handling arguments or dealing with conflicts, and we even adopt behaviors from our co-workers. It's a well-known rule: if you're close to someone, you're likely to copy them. For example, a study found that if one of your friends is obese, your chances of becoming obese increase by 57%. The same principle applies in reverse. In a way, our friends and family act as invisible sources of peer pressure. We tend to follow the direction they go in. Peer pressure, however, is only harmful when it leads to negative influences. Therefore, the best thing you can do is join a culture where good habits are welcomed and encouraged. Surrounding yourself with people who have the habits you aspire to develop makes it easier for you to adopt those habits. Your environment, including your social circles, plays a crucial role in shaping your behavior. Being part of a supportive community can reinforce positive habits and make it more likely that you'll stick with them. How to find and fix the causes of your bad habits. You can make any hard habit easier by linking it to a positive mindset. Often, we approach tasks with a negative outlook, saying things like, "I have to do this," or "I have to do that." But what if we changed just one word? Instead of saying, "I have to get up and go to work," say, "I get to get up and go to work." This simple change in language can shift your entire perspective. By framing habits positively, you highlight their benefits instead of focusing on the setbacks or disadvantages. This mindset shift is key to finding and fixing the causes of your bad habits. To reframe your association with a challenging habit, focus on its positive outcomes. For example, if you dislike exercising, don't think, "I have to exercise." Instead, think, "I get to exercise and improve my health." This subtle change emphasizes the rewards of the activity rather than the effort involved. By concentrating on the benefits and positive aspects of your habits, you can transform your mindset. This makes it easier to stick with good habits while gradually overcoming bad ones. Over time, this approach helps you appreciate the advantages of your actions, making them more appealing and sustainable in the long run. And that wraps up this part from the outstanding book Atomic Habits by James Clear. Stay tuned for the second part. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more audiobook summaries. See you next time.